Hello, friends. Welcome to another edition of my story nights. Tonight's story is entitled The Time-Traveling Watch. Enjoy listening. In a quiet corner of an antique shop, hidden beneath layers of dust and forgotten treasures, there lay a seemingly ordinary pocket watch. Its brass case was tarnished, and its glass face was chipped, but there was an air of mystery about it that drew the occasional curious customer. Little did they know that this watch held within it the power of time travel. The shop, known as Eccentric Emporium, was run by an elderly man named Mr. Bartholomew. He was a collector of oddities and curiosities, and the pocket watch had been in his possession for as long as he could remember. He had acquired it from an elderly woman who had insisted that the watch could transport its owner to different eras, but Mr. Bartholomew had dismissed her claims as the ramblings of an old woman. One rainy afternoon, as the shop's bell tinkled and a young woman named Amelia entered, her attention was immediately drawn to the old pocket watch in the display case. Its tarnished beauty seemed to call out to her, and a strange feeling washed over her as she gazed upon it. She couldn't explain it, but she felt a deep connection to the watch. Amelia approached Mr. Bartholomew, who was polishing an antique teapot behind the counter. "How much is that old pocket watch?" she inquired. Mr. Bartholomew peered at her through his spectacles and said, "Ah, that old thing! It's not worth much, my dear. It's been here for ages and no one's ever shown much interest in it. I suppose I could let it go for a mere $20. Without hesitation, Amelia handed him the money and took possession of the watch. As she cradled it in her hands, she felt a strange warmth spreading through her fingers, as though the watch itself were alive. Amelia returned to her small apartment, her heart racing with excitement. She examined the watch more closely and discovered a tiny button on its side. When she pressed it, the watch emitted a soft, ultra-wig glow, and the hands on its face began to spin. Before she could react, the room around her seemed to blur and shift. The apartment's modern furnishings melted away, replaced by the opulent decor of a Victorian parlor. Amelia gasped in astonishment, realizing that the watch had transported her back in time. She found herself in a lavish Victorian mansion, surrounded by people dressed in elaborate, old-fashioned clothing. The air was filled with the sounds of lively conversation and the tinkling of crystal glasses. It was a grand party, and it took her a moment to comprehend that she had become a guest at a 19th century soiree. Amelia marveled at the exquisite gowns and dapper suits of the partygoers. She approached a group of women who were engaged in animated discussion and joined in, trying her best to blend in. To her amazement, they accepted her as one of their own, and she soon found herself laughing and conversing as if she had been born into this era. The night passed in a whirlwind of elegance and merriment. Amelia danced to the music of a live orchestra and reveled in the enchanting atmosphere of the past. As the clock struck midnight, she realized that she needed to return to her own time. She pressed the button on the watch once more, and a world around her dissolved into a blur. When the world came back into focus, Amelia was standing in her own apartment once again, the pocket watch in her hand. She couldn't believe what had just transpired. It was as though she had stepped into a dream. Over the next few weeks, Amelia continued to experiment with the time-traveling watch. She visited different eras and experienced moments in history that she had only read about in books. She watched Shakespearean plays in the Globe Theater, witnessed the construction of the Great Wall of China, and danced at the roaring parties of the 1920s. As she traveled through time, Amelia discovered that the watch had a remarkable ability to adapt her appearance to match the era she was visiting. It ensured that she never appeared out of place, allowing her to seamlessly blend into different time periods. Amelia's adventures became the talk of the town. She would return from her time travels with stories and souvenirs that piqued the curiosity of her friends and colleagues. Yet, despite the thrill of her journeys, there was a sense of loneliness that gnawed at her heart. No matter where or when she went, she was always a visitor, a stranger in a foreign land. One day, as she stood in a bustling market square in ancient Rome, she realized that she missed the comforts of her own time. She missed her friends, her routines, and the familiarity of the modern world. With a heavy heart, she pressed the button on the watch and returned to her apartment. Amelia decided to confide in her best friend, Thomas, about the time-traveling watch. She recounted her adventures and showed him the incredible device that had changed her life. Thomas, a scientist with a fascination for the unexplained, was both amazed and skeptical. He examined the watch closely, trying to understand its inner workings. After much experimentation and research, Thomas concluded that the watch's time-traveling abilities were real, though he couldn't explain how it worked. He urged Amelia to be cautious, as the consequences of altering the past could be unpredictable and potentially dangerous. Amelia took his words to heart. She realized that the power of the watch carried a great responsibility. It was not merely a tool for personal amusement. It had the potential to affect the course of history itself. With this newfound awareness, she became more selective in her time travels, choosing to visit the past for the purpose of observation and understanding rather than altering the course of events. One day, while exploring Renaissance Italy, Amelia stumbled upon a small art studio. Inside, she met a young artist named Leonardo, who was working on a masterpiece that would one day be known as the Mona Lisa. Intrigued by his talent and passion, she spent hours conversing with him, learning about his creative process and the inspiration behind his work. As Amelia returned to her own time, she couldn't shake the feeling that she had witnessed a pivotal moment in art history. She decided to share her experiences with Thomas, who encouraged her to visit the studio once more, this time armed with modern knowledge of art restoration techniques. Amelia returned to Renaissance Italy, this time with a mission. She offered to help Leonardo with the preservation of his masterpiece, explaining the importance of ensuring its longevity for future generations. With her guidance, the Mona Lisa received the care and protection it deserved, and Leonardo's work went on to become one of the most iconic paintings in the world. Amelia's act of preservation had a profound impact on the art world, and she realized that the time-traveling watch could be used not only for personal exploration, but also for the betterment of history itself. She continued to travel through time, offering assistance and knowledge to those she encountered along the way. As the years passed, Amelia became a guardian of history, using the watch's power to protect and preserve the achievements of the past. She worked alongside great minds and witnessed pivotal moments in human history, all while maintaining a deep respect for the natural flow of time. In the end, Amelia understood that the greatest gift of the time-traveling watch was not the ability to change the past, but the opportunity to learn from it and contribute to the tapestry of history. She used her knowledge to inspire, educate, and protect the legacies of those who had come before her, ensuring that their contributions to the world would never be forgotten. And so, Amelia's life became a testament to the power of the past, the beauty of the present, and the hope for the future, a journey through time that was marked not by the alterations of history, but by the profound impact one person could make when armed with knowledge, empathy, and a time-traveling watch that had the power to change the course of her own destiny. The end.